Right, so with this bag of cocaine, only kidding, it's not cocaine. Don't use drugs, don't mess with them. Right, this is cool polymorph plastic. It's a moldable plastic which melts at 42 degrees centigrade. And I'm going to be having a play around with this stuff and using it for something which most people wouldn't have thought of using it for, most likely. Right, this here I believe is, oh look at that, I can see myself. Right, ooh, yeah, divert that. Right, focus on, what we're going to focus on, there we go. Yeah, focus on that shotgun up there. Right, so this is a heliosite, or some form of ranging equipment or whatever. I'm not going to go looking it up. There's the details on the back. I think this probably dates to World War II. You can see there's a little hole through the centre, yeah? So it's one of these things you can line up, and maybe it's for signalling actually. I don't really know. Maybe it's just some sort of gear that goes on a tripod for use on by architects and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about what it was used for and what it will be used for and all of that guff. Basically, I've been past this a few months ago and I've been putting this to one side, and I was asked if I can come up with a way to connect this back to this base piece here. Now you can see this belongs on a tripod, hence these three positions where something, well, the tripod would mount to it. And you see there's a hole in the center, so basically that should sit like that, tripod below, and that mounts on there like so. So what's missing is a threaded brass collar which screws into this threaded area here, has a hole through the center of it, and screws or just bolts through that hole in the middle there. Now I could just bodge this up, stick a bit of pipe in it and drill a hole through, a pipe with a washer welded on the base, and drill a hole right through the thing straight across and stick a big nail or split pin through it. And for a while I was tempted to do that, or put a big wooden plug in there and screw a big lump of wood into it, and then try and get it out, put a hole in it, and then do something like that. But I'm going to try something new with this polymorph plastic. Right, so basically the idea is you melt the polymorph plastic in a pan of water. I'm not going to need the full amount of this. I'm going to be saving that for future fun projects which I've got a slight military sort of idea about. So I'm going to melt part of that, enough of that to make a bung to go into the bottom of this. Then what I'm hoping is once it's set, I can unscrew it, and once it's unscrewed from there, then the plan is I'm going to set it in some plaster or some sort of similar sort of material, maybe just fine concrete, cement with water, and make a mould so that I can set the concrete or plaster, unscrew the plastic out of it, or melt the plastic out of it again, which is easy enough to do, and then pour white metal in so that I can get a threaded slug to screw into this. Then I'll mount that threaded slug in my lathe and drill a hole through the middle. So that's the plan. So before I do this, see that screw in the base there with a slot in it? I'm going to fill that slot in the screw with a simple bit of kids modelling clay, and that way I'm hoping it will allow the plug to unscrew quite easily, not having a slot across the centre. Now you'll also notice the thread goes all the way to the bottom of this hole, so there shouldn't be any funny issues. If there had been anything unusual going on down the bottom, like a step where it goes wider at the base than it does at the threaded area, obviously then the plug wouldn't come out once I'd cast the plastic in it. So I would have then maybe put some cardboard or something similar, or maybe just the modelling clay again, down in the bottom to fill that area, and then I would just put the plastic in the area that I'm interested in casting in. So I'm going to get on with this and I'll show you how it works out. Well, I'll give that a few minutes, see how it looks. Okay, now I'll just say this, I'm glad I didn't use one of the pans I use quite often for cooking with, because it's a bit of a messy job, but I'm hoping this pan will clean up. The stuff will just peel off the metal once it's dried, or gone solid again, I should probably say. So yeah, you can see it's like well, what a massive ball of snot, if you want to be pretty crude, but it's a bit like hot glue. So I think if I put a pair of gloves on, thick rubber gloves, I won't use leather ones because it'll stick all over the leather and won't come off, but I'm thinking if I put a pair of gloves on, then I'll be able to push this in with a spoon and then knead it into the gap with my fingers. Now I'm really hoping that this stuff comes out easily once it's dry. Maybe I should test this on something else before actually putting it into the device I'm going to try it on. Yeah, I'm thinking smart now, because if this ends up like a glue and like an adhesive and won't come off, then I've got a few hours of work trying to sort this problem out. I'm gonna have a little think about this. Maybe if I just let it dry on this spoon and then see how it comes off the spoon, I'll get an idea. So I might just do that and then leave this warming up in the background. Okay, now this should go white when it re-solidifies, and we'll see if it peels off the spoon. If it doesn't peel off the spoon, then my whole moulding idea is not very good. I'm going to have to go back to some other principle. I have been told that this should work by someone that plays with this stuff more often. So, right. Of course, I haven't got my tripod here with me, but you see, this is coming out, but is that really a suitable moulding medium? You know, if it was in a large block and unscrewed from the stuff, then maybe it would work. it looks like it will release from the brass, so perhaps I should go ahead and try it out. It's a flexible plastic. You know, people use this stuff they actually spread it over their face and make molds so that they can cast faces in them and stuff like this. You can pour wax into a face casting, you know. So because it's a low melting point plastic, it shouldn't burn you if you're handling it. Anyway, I'm not going to be able to do this on camera. Yeah, I'll probably mess it up if I try. I could get the tripod, may do. I'll have a think. Okay. Well, here we go. Let's hope this stuff does work in the way I'm hoping it's going to. This is where I get third-degree burns on my fingers. Let's hope this thing works out. Come on, come on. I've estimated that there's enough of this goo in the pan to do this job properly. But estimations don't always work out that well. Let's see if we can get this in. Of course, it's starting to stick to my glove more than the item I'm wanting it to stick to. Maybe it's time for the fingers to actually be naked. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not sticking to my finger as much as it does to the glove. So, so there we go. We're getting somewhere now. Got to push this in and hope that any air bubbles, pockets of air, aren't in this. So yeah, it's actually quite easy to work with this, so it's not burning me. So I'm getting this to work out quite well. Now the trick is going to be getting this thing out once it's hardened. So my thoughts are, before it sets, is to stick something in the back so that there's a slot in there and I can twist it to unscrew it once it dries or solidifies. Right. Of course, if this doesn't work the first time, the theory is that you can do this over and over and over until you get it right. So there you go. 20p. If I stick 20p in the back and make sure it's stuck in there, maybe 20p is the way to get it out. So I'm probably going to leave this a good half an hour to make sure that it's properly solid, because the thing is low melting point, so just slight amount of warmth on it probably is making it soft. So there you go. I'm going to leave that a while. I may pour some cold water over it like I did with the spoon, see how that works out. Okay. Okay, this is a little update on the heliograph signalling mirror. When I was trying to describe it in the first part of the video, I couldn't remember what it was called and so on. Yeah, it's I think it's a Helio number 5, British made signalling mirror from World War II. Now normally this should have another arm in brass which fixes around this collar here and comes forwards so many inches, and then it has another mirror fitted in front of it. Don't really ask me how they work. I don't know. I'm not that particularly interested. Obviously they use the sun and they send signals to some other person some miles away who can receive it, probably send Morse code and things like that. But I'm not worried about that. All I was asked to do was try and fix the mounting. Now you saw that I was using polyplastic 42 degrees C melting point. Now then my intention was to use that polyplastic to create a mold, but after I'd created this plug with the polyplastic and found it unscrewed, the polyplastic is actually quite tough, and surprisingly so. It's like a block of nylon once it's set, and you can see it there. So this has come out really quite well. I've sprayed a bit of high-tack grease on there at the moment to lubricate it so that it unscrews and screws up easily. But you can see the thread's cut. Well, it's not cut, it's moulded into the internal thread inside this brass collar, and it's worked very well. Now what I've then done is I've melted, you know, one of those steel, we'll call it I don't know, steel pin nut. You know, you can hammer them into wood. For instance, if you're screwing a leg through a block of wood, on the top side you can get one of these nuts which fits into the hole, and it has 4 pins which point down. Well, basically that's what I've used. Go on, stick one in the video now. Go on. Yep, there you go, seeing the picture of it. Right, so I've stuck one of them in there, and then I've put an M6 screw up from the back, and to stop it twisting, because obviously this could twist with just one screw in the middle, I've drilled a small hole and then fitted a little self-tapping screw down and into the plastic. I drilled a small bore hole into the plastic to one side. I could do a 3 points and make it really sturdy, but it's basically just so it doesn't, the plastic doesn't spin. It's doing its job very well. It screws in quite easily into here. Works pretty good. So I don't think there's any issues, and I don't think I need to go making one in metal. It would take me a lot longer to make it in metal and get it to work nicely, and I'm finding that is working very well. There's no issues with that. It's perfectly solid. It's doing its job. If I put any more time into it, I would have to charge more for the repair. So I'm quite happy with that. I think nothing wrong with that. So the guy who